From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Thanks so much for joining us here at 11 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin here with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. And Kevin, we want to get folks ready for that cold Monday morning ahead.
I think we're ready after this Sunday evening where temperatures have been so cold and the wind so strong. These were the peak gusts during the day today, 48 miles per hour in both Muncie and Shelbyville. The wind is calming down, but it's still not calm. High pressure off to the west is going to ensure really a spectacular week ahead. As this area of low pressure moves away, the difference in pressure between the two will relax and the wind will calm down somewhat. The nearly full moon, of course, last night it was technically the full moon on Halloween, but skies are clear and the temperatures are cold. The wind gusts will diminish, but they're still noticeable, 10 to 20 miles per hour through the overnight hours. You factor that in with these temperatures, and it's a cold night. 29 in Peru, 32 in Indianapolis, 30 right now in Lafayette. Here are your metro area temperatures. This is what you'll wake up to, 26 degrees. Not a record. The record set in the early 1950s at 16. There are the temperatures for tomorrow morning. It's what happens after tomorrow that you might find exciting. That's revealed here shortly.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Tomorrow is your last chance to vote early ahead of Election Day on Tuesday, but make sure to plan ahead because the only location in Marion County open tomorrow is the clerk's office at the City County building. Today was the last day for early voting at 6 satellite locations around the county, including Lucas Oil Stadium. The stadium was added this weekend to help cut down on long lines and wait times. And just in tonight, according to the clerk's office, 7,497 people voted early at the stadium this weekend. A total of 211,262 people have voted early in Marion County. That's compared to just over 67,000 in 2016.
Yes, it's worth the wait. Yes, we're trying to let our voice be heard. Yes, it's worth the wait.
Was this the day that you just made a plan and you decided you were going to get out and make sure no matter how long it takes?
Yes, I made that decision.
Well, if you plan to vote early tomorrow, the City County building is only open from 8 a.m. until noon. Absentee ballots must be turned in by noon on Tuesday to the Marion County Election Board in order to be counted. The Postal Service will open its drive-through site at the main office downtown again tomorrow for voters that need to drop off their ballots. Starting at 3 p.m., you can hand your ballot directly to a USPS employee at 125 West South Street. The site will be open until 10 p.m. Employees then date stamp the ballot and send it to be sorted and prepared to send to the appropriate election board.
We're doing this because we want to make sure that every voter has an opportunity to get their ballot in. We know a lot of people waited to the last minute for various reasons. Maybe they were just, trying to make their decision, and we want to make sure that we're here for them.
Marion County voters can also drop off ballots at the main post office on South Street on Election Day from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. Those ballots will then be delivered by noon on November 3rd. A reminder for registered voters, you do need a valid ID in order to cast your ballot. And starting tomorrow, the BMV is extending its hours to help voters that need a license or ID card. Branches will be open tomorrow from 8:30 a.m. until 8 p.m. and on Tuesday they will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The Indiana BMV provides free state-issued ID cards for voting purposes to any unlicensed Hoosier who is 18 years old and a U.S. citizen. If you need a ride to the polls on Election Day, Indigo is working to break down barriers by offering free rides, and Pacers Bike Share will be free for the first hour on Tuesday as well. Indianapolis Cultural Trail Inc., which operates Pacers Bike Share, will give people a free and fun way to get to their polling location. There are over 50 stations located downtown and surrounding neighborhoods. You can find them by downloading the B-Cycle app. Any trip over 60 minutes will be 15 cents per minute. Just days before the election, and supporters of President Donald Trump took to the interstate around the Circle City this afternoon. Supporters drove around Interstate 465 today, honking their horns and waving Trump flags. After that, they made their way downtown to Monument Circle. The show of support lasted hours, but eventually ended after police blocked off part of the circle, stopping supporters from making rounds.
no problems. There was no problems on the interstate. Not that we seen. Did you guys see any?
No, we had a bunch of people on the overpasses waving us on. There was multiple people stopped on the side of the road.
You had your few people that would give us a finger, would yell at us. That's all I can do. They want to hate me because of who I support. I can't control that, but I love them, so it's okay.
Supporters of President Trump were not the only people out in that caravan today. We also noticed supporters for Biden-Harris as well. Both presidential campaigns took their message to voters across several key battleground states on the final weekend before Election Day. More than 92 million Americans have already cast their ballot, and it may take some time to count all of those votes. Here's ABC's Alex Prochet with the details.
President Trump holding 5 rallies across 5 states on Sunday, states he needs to win again if he wants to stay in the White House, beginning his day in Michigan.
We are going to win the state of Michigan again.
His second stop, Iowa, where he holds a 7-point lead over Joe Biden in the latest Des Moines Register poll. Throughout the day, the president downplaying the coronavirus.
And we're rounding the turn on a pandemic. We're rounding the corner. We're rounding the turn.
Joe Biden continues to slam the president's response to the pandemic.
If this president just wore a mask instead of mocked it from the beginning.
The race tightening in Pennsylvania since last month. Biden holds a slight 7-point advantage, down 2 points from October.
2 more days, we can put an end to this presidency that is from the very beginning sought to divide us, to tear us apart.
With millions of Americans voting by mail, it may take time to count all those votes. Democrats arguing in court ballots postmarked by Election Day should be counted, and many state laws support that. In Texas, where more than 9 million voters have already cast their ballot, a federal judge will hear arguments on Monday in a case brought by Texas conservatives challenging more than 100,000 ballots cast at 10 drive-through locations in Harris County, which is largely Democrat.
We are fighting as hard as we possibly can to protect every single vote that has been cast.
President Trump continues to insist a winner must be declared election night.
We should know the result of the election on November 3rd.
But denying reports he will declare victory early.
Are you going to declare victory Tuesday night, whether all the results
No, that was a false report. We'll look at what happens.
The president's final stop of the day, Florida. More than 8 million Floridians have already voted in an extremely tight race. Alex Prochet, ABC News, Washington.
Alex, thank you. A reminder, we will have live coverage of everything happening next Tuesday on Election Day, live here on WRTV. We'll look at all the key races, plus we'll have analysis and results when they come in. Look for us on the WRTV app on streaming devices such as Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and Android TV. We will also provide you live results throughout the night here on WRTV with a complete wrap-up on the news at 11. Developing tonight, the Marion County Coroner's Office is working to identify a man found in the White River this afternoon. Investigators say someone called dispatch around 12:45 p.m. to report the body in the water. Emergency crews from several agencies then responded to the scene in the 1200 block of West Washington Street. Indiana conservation officers are now handling this investigation. Anyone with information is asked to call the Marion County Coroner's Office. That number is 317-327-4744. Now to our continuing coverage of the coronavirus and its impact on Indiana. The State Department of Health reports 2,787 new cases. 28 more Hoosiers have died with COVID-19, bringing the total number of COVID-related deaths to 4,124. Since March, more than 182,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. Nearly 3 million tests have been administered in Indiana. And as the pandemic continues, money raised through the Salvation Army's iconic Red Kettle fundraising event is at risk. Due to COVID-19, leaders with Salvation Army say requests for their services are at an all-time high. Right now, it's estimated there could be a 50% decrease in money raised nationally through the traditional fundraiser. This prediction is due to stores closing, shoppers not carrying cash, and a drop in foot traffic. That is why Salvation Army has now launched a virtual Red Kettle campaign with a goal to raise $250,000. It starts today and runs through the end of the year. You can become a virtual bell ringer and you can send your personal fundraising link to your family and your friends. States are putting new restrictions in place as coronavirus cases surge again. Up next, a national snapshot and some grim new predictions as we head into winter. Kevin.
It'll feel like winter definitely in the morning, but look what happens after that. Temperatures climb. We'll talk about our sustained warming trend coming up.
October was a month of grim records in the COVID-19 pandemic, and as November begins, experts say the U.S. hasn't seen the worst of it yet. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced this weekend that most travelers to the Empire State will now be required to show they've tested negative for COVID-19 3 days before they arrive and upon their arrival. In the U.S., the total number of COVID-19 cases surpassed 9.1 million, and the nation's death toll from the pandemic topped 230,000 on Saturday.
100,000 cases yesterday. 2 weeks from now will start to translate into massive numbers of deaths. So we're going to see not just the cases continue to escalate, but we're going to see perhaps 2,000 deaths per day 2 or 3 weeks from now.
In Florida, health officials reported 2,331 new cases on Saturday. Pennsylvania on Saturday reported 2,510 new cases. Daily increases in the state along with Michigan and Wisconsin were at the highest level since the start of the pandemic. According to the COVID tracking project, at least 47,374 COVID-19 patients were in hospitals on Saturday. That's up 65.6% from a 3-month low of 28,608 on September 20th. Doctors say a second wave of mental health devastation brought on by the pandemic is imminent. We've already reported how cases of depression in the U.S. have more than quadrupled since the COVID started. Dan Grossman shows us why people in need are still struggling to find help.
This is going to be a long-haul kind of situation.
It took us more than a week to nail down an interview with President and CEO of the National Council for Behavioral Health, Chuck Ingoglia.
I'm certainly hear from our members that they're feeling a lot of tension right now.
He's been that busy dealing with the 3,400 local mental health organizations around the country his group oversees that have had trouble keeping up with demand.
I was with some folks in Tennessee last week, and they're talking about the fact that, you know, they're having more people come in who have lost their jobs and therefore don't have insurance, and they just don't have the resources to provide free care. And they're feeling really torn about that because they understand this need that's in their community.
In a survey of more than 5,000 people released by JAMA last week, 41% reported feeling at least one adverse mental health condition, including depression, anxiety, and substance abuse, tripling to quadrupling rates from 1 year earlier. And remarkably, nearly 11% reported seriously considering suicide within the last 30 days.
We are concerned that things could continue to get worse.
Dr. Vail Wright is the Senior Director of Healthcare Innovation at the American Psychological Association. She says as days get shorter and the weather gets colder, more people will spend time inside, taking away a major respite during these troubling times, the outdoors.
We are anticipating that we'll continue to see mental health challenges, including increase in diagnostic categories as this continues if people don't take active steps to manage their stress.
As COVID cases continue to another crest, experts say hospitals might continue to leave beds open for COVID patients, taking away the availability of psychiatric beds in the emergency room in a place many go for immediate care. The shift puts even more strain on the local organizations Ingoglia oversees that have been dealing with funding issues.
Our members are reporting about a 20% reduction in revenue, and you deal with that by closing programs and laying off staff, which then means you serve fewer patients, which then means your revenue stays low. So it's this kind of self-perpetuating kind of problem that we're having.
Ingoglia says he's been focusing on the Trump administration and Congress as a source of relief in hopes more stimulus money comes to these programs so this concern doesn't evolve into something worse. I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
11:17 on this cold Sunday night. Coldest temperature so far this fall into the morning hours tomorrow. But then we won't quite do a 180 right away, but we'll start to turn the ship as we warm up later in the week. 29 in Peru, temperatures 30 in Martinsville. It's cold everywhere with the wind calming down a bit and the sky clear. The stage is set for temperatures to reach the mid-20s. 27 will be the temperature at 7 a.m. in Indianapolis. But you see the climb. Our wind tomorrow will still be strong. Not nearly what we had today with a 43-mile-per-hour gust in Indianapolis. And the wind direction will change, and that will boost our temperature slowly. 42 at noon. Warming trend for the rest of the week. That's after tomorrow morning. As a matter of fact, we've got some low temperatures in the 7-day planner that are around 50 degrees. That's quite the improvement from tomorrow morning. Election day, if you find yourself standing outside in a line, dry and relatively mild. Certainly warmer than where we were today. Dry over the next 7 days. Temperatures are coldest tomorrow, and you can see the steady climb with temperatures peaking as we get to Wednesday and Friday. Temperatures over the weekend will be close to 70 degrees as well. Tomorrow, still cool, 49 degrees. We'll have lots of sunshine and it will be breezy. Not as windy Tuesday. Election day up to 60, mid-60s right in the middle of the week on Wednesday. The wind tomorrow will come out of the southwest. That will start to push the coldest air out of the Hoosier State and start our trend toward temperatures climbing back above average. Won't all happen in a day, though. Temperatures stay in the upper 40s tomorrow from north to south. In the western portion of the state, the nose of some warmer temperatures arrives, lower 50s there. Tuesday, Election Day, sunshine. Start to finish. Temperature in the afternoon should hit 60 for the high temperature in Indianapolis. A few spots will be in the lower 60s. As we look beyond, Wednesday, 65 degrees, and the momentum builds. 66 Thursday. Temperature to end the week will be in the upper 60s. And this weekend, with dry conditions and more sunshine, a high temperature should be right at 70 by Sunday. These overnight lows that go from 26 tomorrow morning, Nicole, all the way back up to 50 as we get to next weekend.
Gets better and better as the week goes on. Thank you so much, Kevin. Well, the Indianapolis Colts stepped into the Lions' den today, and they are now back home after another impressive win. Up next, highlights from Sunday's dust-up in Detroit. The Colts opened November with a big win. It took them a little bit to get going today, but once they did, the points added up in a hurry. They're heading home from the victory for a huge matchup next weekend. Brad Brown has a recap of Sunday's strong showing in Detroit.
We all knew Nyheim Hines was fast. On Sunday in Detroit, we found out he was nimble as well.
I learned how to do it on trampoline, then I just went on the ground and threw it. So I've been able to do it for probably 10 plus years now. I actually talked about it this week, and I've been saying I was going to do it since my rookie year. Just sometimes when I score, I just forget and I just start screaming. So happy I remembered today, and I had a good feeling about this week. So I thought I might have a chance to do it.
The Colts running back had a chance to show off his gymnastic skills twice in the second quarter. A pair of touchdown receptions that helped the offense overcome a sluggish first quarter and hold a 13-point lead at halftime.
We're getting to know each other better. Obviously, this locker room was already tight. There's obviously guys that have been here. But just collectively, as a whole, we feel more and more comfortable around each other, both in the locker room and the interactions in the meeting rooms, on the practice field, even on the field today.
Darius Leonard returned after missing the last two games, a huge impact in the third quarter. Darius with a strip sack of Matthew Stafford. Justin Houston recovered, giving the Colts great field position. Leonard led the defense with 9 tackles.
Sometimes, life makes you be a cheerleader, and, it just felt good to kind of, get back out there and just make some plays and just be out there with your teammates. And, Coach dialed it up all week saying that, he wanted to get me going into the rush.
The Colts did not have much of a run game for most of the day, but Jordan Wilkins took one in for a TD after that turnover. He also got the 2-point conversion. Wilkins managed 89 yards on 20 carries, but the Colts still averaged just over 3 yards per rush attempt.
Really, it's just about, waiting for my turn. I'm not, I don't think anybody on our team is a selfish type player.
We have a great backfield from the top to the bottom. So whenever my number's called, I just try to do the best I can to fill in.
The D pretty much put the game away. Kenny Moore stepping in for the fourth quarter interception, the Colts' league-leading 11th of the season. The pick six made it a 3-score game. Indy gets win number 5 with their highest points output of the season in the 41-21 win.
Each day of practice, we're just going out and challenging each other to make a good play great. And, taking the ball away, that's obviously a great play, but having points on the board as a defense, it's a game changer. And we just want to put our offense in the best position to win.
I just credit that's playmakers, right? I mean, the way that happens, the way you make plays is playmakers. So that's first and foremost a credit to our defensive players. Secondly, I think the defensive staff has done a good job of getting those guys and putting them in good positions.
The Colts pull even with Tennessee for the division lead after the Titans lost to the Bengals on Sunday. Keep in mind, the Colts and Titans play twice this month. The first of those is next Thursday night in Nashville. Next up, though, the Colts take on the Ravens. Baltimore is coming off a 28-24 loss to Pittsburgh. That snapped a 3-game win streak. So that means the Colts and Ravens will each have 5-2 records coming into that Week 9 matchup next Sunday at Lucas Oil Stadium. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
As we've seen in past elections, every vote counts. Black voters are among the groups that could make a difference in this outcome this year. And as Maya Rodriguez tells us, it could all come down to turnout in some key states.
Florida, home to green palms, sunny skies, and long lines for early voting.
We're seeing a lot of people who are actively engaged.
Dr. Larry Walker is a professor at the University of Central Florida, specializing in race and voting rights. He says looking at state data, he expects a higher black voter turnout this year in Florida, a state where they account for 14% of eligible voters.
I think we're going to see increasingly more black voters that didn't vote in 2016 or weren't registered to vote in this election.
But will they in other battleground states?
I think our culture don't vote enough.
To be honest, I don't know. I don't really know.
American University decided to find out. Researchers surveyed 1,200 black voters in the battleground states of Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. What researchers found? Differences that are generational. When it comes to how motivated they are to vote, older black voters overwhelmingly say they will definitely vote, while only 29% of black voters under the age of 30 said they would. American University's Sam Fullwood is one of the researchers involved in the Black Swing Voter Project.
The starkest difference of all those different categories came along generational lines.
How do black voters in swing states feel about the candidates? That also differs by age, with support for former Vice President Biden higher among older black voters than younger. Conversely, President Trump's support is higher among younger black voters than older, though still in the single digits.
Politicians, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, if they want to engage young African Americans, they're going to have to show some tangible benefits of political engagement that would make them feel that there is a reason to participate in the system.
A system where voting is the first step in the political process. In Orlando, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
Maya, thank you. Before campaigning for Joe Biden in Flint, Michigan this weekend, former President Barack Obama called a game over on the basketball court. Obama swished a three-pointer at a local gym before taking the stage to stump for his one-time vice president. The winning shot was captured by the campaign's digital team and quickly went viral, garnering over 3 million views in an hour. Kevin, we got to come up with something.
That's a highlight, isn't it?
That is a highlight.
Nothing but net. Well, temperatures tomorrow, I don't know if you consider that a highlight or not, but 27 will be unique in that it won't be repeated the rest of the week. 39 by the time we get late morning, sunshine, and upper 40s tomorrow. Nicole?
All right, Kevin, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. Good Morning Indiana starts at 4:30. Have a great night.